.22 ammo is usually considered to be dirty. That means there's a lot of burn residual in that. It's a good idea every time you get back from using it to clean it. This is a cool invention. This thing's called a bore snake. It works real well. You always start out, everything goes in the direction that the bullet goes. So this thing's got a little weight on the end. You just drop it through the barrel like this. And then pull it. Did I get off screen with that? I can try to do it all on here. But when I get my guns back, I have a bore snake. And again, you just take it, run it through. I usually run it through a minimum of 3 times. And it's really a heck of a good invention. It does a nice job cleaning out the bore of the barrel. There's a little ramp thing right here. I don't know if you can see that real well. There's a ramp thing right here. The bullet hits this and slides into the chamber. These get dirty. And like I said, I usually use a brass brush and kind of scrape it. But it's a real good idea to clean it every time after you go and use it. It's not that hard to do. This thing goes back together real simple. Pretty much the reverse of how it came out. One of the things to remember with this one is you have to press this button with the X on it. You have to press that in the whole time. That's kind of a pain, but oops. There we go. And this thing just screws down. And of course, for some reason, now it's fighting me. Am I screwing the right? Oh, I was turning it the wrong way. Hey. Okay. There we go. And I make it here just kind of finger tight because I know eventually I'm going to take this off, let go of that cross-headed screw, and that's it. This thing is ready to go again. For storage, this little orange safety thing goes back in here. I ease this forward onto this. It's going to be put in safe. It comes with a lock. There's all kind of ways to lock a gun. On a gun like this, one of the best ways is they run a cable up here and then out, and then you lock that cable. That means nobody can load a magazine in, nobody can load any bullets in. That's a good way to lock it up, and it comes with a lock. That's about it. Would you stop that for a second? Okay, I want to kind of quickly go over how to aim a gun. That's one of those things I can explain it, but I can't see what you're seeing. So sometimes it gets, it gets a little weird. But basically, the back of the gun has got a notch in it. So I've taken a piece of envelope and I've cut a notch. So this is like what the back of the gun is. Right here, there's a notch. Then of course, there's this post up front. So here's the way this works. The name of the game is to line the post up inside of the back notch. You want to be centered left to right, so there's a gap that's the same. In other words, this would be wrong, this would be wrong. Right in the middle is what you're aiming for. And then along the top, you want to have all 3 lined up at the same thing. At the same time, you're looking at the target. So it gets a little bit tricky. Your eyes can't focus on the back of this, the front of this, and the target all at one time. It is impossible, okay? So what most people will tell you to do is most of your focus should go on the front post. And what you want to do, if the thing you're aiming at is round, let me grab a CD here. So if this is my target, when I'm looking at it, this is kind of sort of what I'm looking for. In other words, I want the post to be in the center always of my target. Again, this thing back here is going to be fuzzy with your vision, because you can't focus on everything at once. So you kind of sort of line up the back, but concentrate on the front post. I recommend shooting at fairly close distances at first until you get a feel for it. And you will. It's like anything else, any other skill you have to learn. Eventually you'll go, oh, now I see what he's talking about. But it is tricky at first. Do realize that things are going to look fuzzy. It's that darn simple. And like anything else, if you watch somebody do it who's done it a while, they're going to make it look easy. But it's really not. It's a skill, just like anything else. Okay, we're back. What I want to do is I want to kind of reinforce a couple things that we went over before, and I'm going to have Ray here do what's called dry fire, which again means you're pulling the trigger even though there's no bullet in here. So this is my personal carry. It's a 45. It happens to be a Springfield. It's called XDS. It's a very nice gun. Right now it's loaded. If I were to pull the trigger, it would go boom. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to make it safe. I do that by first dropping the magazine out. Then, and by the way, you'll notice at all times I'm pointing away from the people, my pets. You know, it's kind of aiming outside, but my finger is off the trigger and will not get near the trigger until I know that this gun is unloaded. Okay? Then I smartly pull back on the slide, and you'll notice a bullet popped out. Again, that's a 45, pretty serious bullet. There are now no bullets in here, but I'm going to lock the slide back by pulling back and pushing up on this lever. Slide is locked back. I look here, I put my finger, that's where the bullet would be. Ray, you want to confirm there is no bullet in that gun. So we're good, okay? So I pull back, let go. If there were a bullet in here and I pulled the trigger, the gun would now go boom. Now this gun, I can dry fire. So to dry fire, just because I'm paranoid, I'm going to check again. To dry fire, you put your finger on the trigger and you aim and just slowly squeeze. You reach a point where it gets a little bit harder to squeeze, and then just a little beyond that, you hear a click, and the gun would go boom. Okay? Now, I'm going to give it to Ray, and he's going to do that too. But you'll notice when I give it to Ray, even though he just saw me pull the trigger on an empty gun, he knows that the first thing you do when somebody hands you a gun, even at a range, or if you go to a gun shop, or you're at a buddy's house, somebody hands you a gun, the first thing you always do is go, okay, there's no bullets in here. So grab it, pull it back, hold it, and look. No bullets, we're cool, let go. Yeah, and again, you just want to, as it's back all the way, you just want to let go and slingshot. Let that thing slide forward, because that will seat the bullet. Okay, so you know you're safe, keep the gun pointed that way, put your finger on the trigger, and just slowly start to squeeze. Right about there, it gets tough, a little bit more, click, that's it. It's, in a sense, that simple. If you want to do it again, just pull the slide back, let go, and you can dry fire it again. Okay, hands. You want to get under, no, parallel. This thumb should be pointing at the target. You want to have the gun as high up into this, as your hand as high up into this as you can. So a lot of times, let go please. A lot of times what I'll do is when I place the gun, when I pick it up, I'll go like this. Okay, again, be aware this slide comes back with a lot of power. And if this hand is back here like this, or you're doing something like this, if it catches you, it's gonna rip you, okay? So again, when you put the gun in your hand, you wanna go as high up as you can. What that does, guns have recoil, 22s not so much, this gun a fair bit. If you're down like this, it's gonna try to whip out of your hands. I'm exaggerating, I hope. I've actually seen people at a range hold a gun like this though, so maybe not so much. Here, the higher you hold it safe, the recoil is gonna come straight back at your hand rather than try to whip you up, okay? So try it like that. Cool, much better. Okay, so then again, put it this way. This thumb parallel with this thumb, and then wrap your fingers around it again. When you hold it up, this hand, about 20-25% of the weight, this hand is really where all your weight and most of your gross motor skills are for aiming it. This one does your fine motor skills and then the final twitch of pulling the trigger. Okay? Can you see what I mean by the sight picture? Mm-hmm. So we have the notch in the back, and then this one's got a kind of cool red dot thing. So you want to line, see there's two white dots and then the red dot in the middle. You want to line them up left to right so it's even, and then so that all three dots are even.
Yep.
Okay, so while you hold that, put your finger on the trigger and slowly squeeze. Pull back, you'll reach a point where it gets a little bit harder. Kind of rest there for a split second and then just continue squeezing. Click. That's it. Of course, in real life now the thing would go boom and it would, you know.
Oops, I missed.
Yeah, and you try again, you know. But in essence, that's it. Okay,
Thank you.
sure. We can probably stop this now. Okay, Ray wanted me to show you on the gun we were just using for demonstrations. Again, right now it's empty. This gun, I usually keep loaded, so I wanted to show you how I load it. Again, it's empty. On these guns, when you fire your last shot, this slide locks back. This just tells you that your magazine is empty. So to load a bullet in, I have a magazine. You can see it has bullets in it. I slap it into place, and then, again, finger off the trigger, I pull back. You're probably not gonna hear it. When I pull back, there's a little click. I can feel it as much as hear it. And then I'm just gonna let go of this and let the force of the spring seat that bullet. That's it. This gun is now ready to go. If I were to pull the trigger like we did before, right now a bullet would go off. And that's it.